artist from Edmond, Oklahoma. The interview is being made at the home of Orren Mixer Jr. on March 7th, 1974. Your interviewer is Gagelene Sloan, Guthrie, Oklahoma. Tell us about your place of birth and parents.
I was born in 1920, Oklahoma City. I guess my dad and mother were around here most of their life. Dad came from Missouri.
Do you know how they met?
No, I sure don't. That's a long time ago.
Or how many brothers and sisters did you have?
One sister. She was 3 years older than I.
Describe your hometown of Oklahoma City as you remember it when you were growing up.
There wasn't much there. It was about the time that the horses were disappearing. Tractors were coming in. I was around 9 or 10. My mother died when I was 9. I lived on this farm, that farm, and was with around cattle and horses quite a bit. So that's what caused me to be doing what I'm doing now, I guess.
Did your parents ever talk about when they came to Oklahoma? You know, the land rights?
No. I think my granddad on my mother's side came from Maryland and got off the train up here at Edmond. Took a wagon and drove out west of Edmond where they more or less homesteaded. And that place is still in the family as of now.
Can you describe the schools that you went to?
Well, I went to Lynnwood in grade school, and then I went to Taft Junior High School. The first year it opened, it was a new school. And, I think I went 1 year at Dewey, Oklahoma at junior high school. That was a year that I think Machine Gun Kelly was sentenced, and he was on the train going through Dewey, Oklahoma, going to Leavenworth, Kansas. I was living there. Machine Gun Kelly, a bunch of outlaws.
Did you ever meet any of them?
No, that's when I think Mr. Herschel was kidnapped. Back in the Pretty Boy Floyd days. He was quite a. I think Henry Starr was up in that area, hiding out around Bartlesville. Those are good old days.
Were you ever scared that they'd come around or anything?
No, we was fishing up there in the Osage country one time, and we was driving down a trail. No boy was a rifle. Stopped us and told us to turn around and go on back. I don't know if they had whiskey stills or outlaws, but evidently it was something they had back there. I don't know. I never did know what that was. But since then, why? Of course, he could have been both. He was up in the rough country out in northwest of Bartlesville. But then I finished up school. Oh, I went to Putnam City my first 2 years of high school, and my last year of high school, I moved to Oklahoma City and stayed with some real good friends, Mr. and Miss Roop. And tried to cram in 12 years of schooling in 1 year. And, I guess I worked harder that my 12th year than I did all the other years put together.
When did you first become interested in painting?
Painting, when I was interested in drawing and art, they wasn't any such thing as selling paintings. And I always studied. As a kid, people say that I was always drawing horses, cows in school. I guess that was 11 years that I didn't do any work. And every day somebody comes along and tells me that all I did is, draw pictures. But 12, in my last year of high school, I won a scholarship to Kansas City Art Institute. And hitchhiked up there and went to school. And that was 1939. And at that time, selling paintings, just people didn't have any money. That's just one thing that didn't. Artists just didn't make a living selling paintings. But I studied commercial art. After serving a hitch in the service, why I came out. Of course, I was painting quite a bit while I was in the Navy. I was in the Navy and had a chance to do a little painting, and went to art school in Chicago, which helped me quite a bit. I was stationed in Chicago, and then when I got out of the service, I thought I would try to paint a few Western pictures. I'd sold a few before then. While I was in the service, I sold a few. Before I went to service, I had quite a few covers on different magazines. But that's where I got started doing what I'm doing. I studied commercial art. I never did study painting.
Have you ever painted anything else besides horses and cows?
Well, when I got started, I painted quite a few Western scenes. Of course, to sell them, you had to find somebody that wanted a Western scene in your particular work. But knowing horses and liking horses like I did, the Quarter Horse Association was getting started about that time. And that's when I started painting a few quarter horses. And after I painted a few quarter horses, people began to contact me about having a certain horse painted. And that's kind of when I got started painting horses. And all my work's been commissioned instead of out trying to sell them. You paint just a Western picture, why you'd have to sell it yourself or take it to a gallery or an agent, and I never did get hooked up with an agent. I did have a big store in Chicago handle some of my work when I first got started, but that was right at the beginning. After that, I had commission work, and that's the way it's been.
Was it during the Depression that you couldn't sell your paintings or anything? Was that why?
Well, no. You just didn't. Back in 1938 and 39, there wasn't a depression, but there wasn't. People just didn't have money to be spending on original oil paintings. They just didn't. You didn't talk about it. WPA set up a program. I think I was too young to know too much about it, but I noticed when I was in the Navy that time the war broke out, they had a WPA program going that they furnished canvas, paintbrushes, paint, and then I think they gave these artists so much a month, or I don't know how they worked that. But when the war broke out, they took all these supplies to this headquarters where they had me stationed. And gosh, I had a lot of that paint canvas there, and I grabbed it and went to paint pictures. But as far as just selling painting, why, it was really, I just never did even think about it. I never did think about making a living doing what I'm doing. I studied commercial art, and before I went in the service, I went to New York City and worked in a studio in Rockefeller Center. And but it was all commercial art. I was doing covers for popular songs, sheet music covers. And this agency, or this studio I was with, they did about 90% of the covers for sheet music. And I got the whole big salary of $5 a week. You kids think that you have it rough now. But I enjoyed it. I didn't, the way I always looked at it, that $5 a week better than me paying them to get an education. And to me, it was an education working in the studio. It was one of the nicest studios in New York City. I was in the RKO building, and I didn't feel like I had it so rough. I would deliver these covers for sheet music to these different music companies. I'd walk in. Now this is back in 1940 when there wasn't too many jobs, and I'd walk into these music companies to deliver these pictures and covers for these songs. And every day I'd walk in, there'd be a whole line of people lined up there waiting to see if they couldn't get their song recorded, or all trying to make a hit. And artists, musicians, it was a rough life. And of course, I was studying commercial art. I didn't think anything about picking up a paintbrush and doing something in oil and then trying to sell it. I didn't know this had something to sell in the picture. So I feel very fortunate to be able to have all the work I can do right now in painting pictures.
You didn't plan this for?
I never had a lesson in my life in oil painting. Of course, I stay to myself. I don't go around the other artists. I figure they're all better than I am. They probably have better education and everything, but I did have a pretty good instructor in Kansas City that taught me to don't worry about what you do, how you do it, what you do it with. The finished product's what counts. And I've always thought about that. I'm not going to grab anything and do something. And I hope that when I get finished, it'll be something that'll be worth looking at. That's like an entrance, that hill all over there. That wasn't anything but a plowed field over there, and I started. What else you got on there you want to know about? You like to read some stories. My wife knows more than I do. I painted some pretty famous horses. Most all the top famous quarter horses. This picture here was world champion 1973. This picture here. Gosh, I painted a bunch of world champion horses. He was the first spring champion of the world. This is a world champion. A lot of his sons are world's champions. Now, you want me to get behind that thing and let you talk?
Thank you very much, Orren, for this interview.